Decision under ignorance in decision theory. Hi, my name is Nisha and I will explain to you guys about more decision. Before we get started into the topic, what is decision theory? The field of applied probability theory known as decision theory is concerned with the theory of decision making based on the assignment of probabilities to diverse factors and the imposition of numerical implication on the result. Making rational or sound decisions is viewed as the main responsibility of management. Every manager makes countless decisions either consciously or unconsciously, and these choices are crucial to the job of a manager. What is decision under ignorance? Ignorance is an extreme form of uncertainty. In most narrow and technical sense, it means inability to assign a meaningful probability to the phenomena of interest. In more general sense, the state of ignorance is the result of the absence of knowledge about structural factors that influence the issues, the lack of reliable information, or inability to completely determine the space of alternatives and consequences. In other words, when one cannot assign a subjective probability to the potential outcomes of any action, one makes decisions in ignorance. There are no probabilities accessible to the agent for decision made in the absence of information. Most researchers argue that the practice of casually papering over the ignorance with subjective judgment and analytic assumption can have serious consequences. These are decisions where they cannot assign probability to some of the state or where the estimates are too wide, somewhere between a 20% and 80%. There are three types of decision making under ignorance. Number one is Laplace bias. All states of nature are equally likely to occur. And next is select alternatives with average payoff. Next type is Maximax, which is select the strategy with the highest possible return. For the maximum, they select the strategy with the smallest possible loss. For example, Jane is having a romantic dinner with her fiancé at a newly opened French bistro in Santa Barbara, California. After having enjoyed a vegetarian starter, Jane has to choose a main course. There are only two options on the menu, which is hamburger and lotte de mer. Jane recalls that lotte de mer means monkfish, and she feels that this would be a nice option as long as it is cooked by a first-class chef. However, she has some vague suspicions that this may not be the case in this particular restaurant. The starter was rather poor and cooking monkfish is difficult. Virtually any restaurant can serve edible hamburger, however. Jane feels that she cannot assign any probability to the prospect of getting good monkfish. She simply knows too little about this newly opened restaurant. Because of this, she is in effect facing a decision under ignorance. In decision theory, ignorance is a technical term with a very precise meaning. It's referred to cases in which the decision maker knows what her alternatives are and what outcome they may result in, but she is unable to assign any probabilities to the states corresponding to the outcome. Sometimes the term decision under certainty is used synonymously. She feels that ordering a hamburger would be a safe option, and a hamburger would also be better than having no main course at all. Another researcher examined the neurological evidence of decision under ignorance using fMRI scan. They examined two types of missing information, which is ambiguity, vague probabilities, and sample space ignorance (SSI). They found that different types of missing information activate distinct neural substrates in the brain. The data partially reject the traditional reductive view held by the neuroscientists, according to which individuals reduce SSI to uncertainty or ambiguity and then to risk. It is done by forming subjective belief about the partition of a sample space and after that, forming a subjective probability measure. They found that the reductive view is only compatible with the ambiguity averse individuals but not with ambiguity tolerance individuals. As we know, the key recommendation they make is the that theory of decision-making under uncertainty should include a parameter on individual tolerance for missing information. Strategy to solve decision under ignorance. A proposal to the problem of decision under ignorance by Gravel, Martin, and Sen is based on the principle of if insufficient reason and the expected utility theory. They apply the principle of insufficient reason to assign to every consequences, which is probability distribution, an equal probability, and as comparing decision on the basis of the expected utility of their consequences, probability distribution, and for some utility function. Lastly, this proposal avoids dealing with difficulties caused by ignorance altogether. A similar proposal was found in the work by Smets et al. In conclusion, they found clear evidence that the behavior when the subject have and do not have probability are different. They found that under ignorance, the subjects use two types of strategies to arrive at a choice. One strategy is to employ a principle that resolves the choice conflict and was insensitive to the particular features of different options. The author expressed to some degree of surprise at the finding and wrote, "It is perhaps ironic that under ignorance, when people should probably think harder when making decisions, they do not. In fact, they may be swayed by the availability of simple arguments that serve to resolve the conflict of choices."